Hello everyone, Eon here. It's February 2025. Let's look at fantasy. Now we're going to split this into two because there's just way too many to do in one video. We're going to look at A through K. It's Sunday, February 9th as I record this, just for timeline purposes. We're going to first up look at 3D Art Guy. 3D Art Guy here has the mother of evil dragons. The goddess of domination, tyranny, hatred, and evil. Don't let her beautiful human appearance beguile you. Seems to be mildly inspired by some things. That looks kind of like wrestling there. This is the Angel of Hope. When it seems like all hope is lost, look to the skies. 3D Art Guy usually puts multiple sculpts and versions of these out. This is the Lord of Lies, a demon so trustworthy he doesn't have just two faces, but three. Again, a couple of different versions of this, This is a gnome inventor with some accessories included in a house. So we have a house and building tile set. Build a house, a tavern, whatever it is you need. Seems like there's a lot of really cool options there. I'm always a sucker for houses, as if I need any more models to not print. So anyway, this seems to be pretty much what you're getting for the month of February with 3D Art Guy, and there's the loyalty reward if you've been with him for at least a year. Next up, we have Arbiter Miniatures. Arbiter Miniatures is doing Eldritch Horrors this month, and they are doing supportless and pre-supported as usual, so if you want to print the models without having to do supports, you can. They're also doing advanced FDM, so as 0.2mm nozzles on an FDM printer becomes more common, Arbiter Miniatures is really going into hard work here to see if they can do this with the 0.2mm nozzle, and they've got some test prints here that I thought were worth including to show you that if this is something you're interested in, you can see they not only made the models, but they successfully printed them as well. Now these do come with supports to be released as well, and Arbiter Miniatures has a video on his YouTube channel where he actually talks about this. So I would highly recommend that if you have any interest in printing miniatures on an FDM printer, go check out his video. He does a lot of work really figuring out what he can print supported and what things can be printed without a support. Artisan Guild this month is doing these eye tyrants. They do have a free tier, so you can grab a free mini each month if you want to look into that. And they do have a couple of different tiers. If you back them at the higher tier, you can actually get busts. And here are the collector tier bust set. So no less than 6 busts. If you back them on their website, you actually get these Guild Hall exclusives. So this is an alternative version of Mithraxix, the All-Seeing Tyrant Eye. So this is Descent into the Hive of the All-Seeing. Here we have Arcos, a Minoc bounty hunter, and Pargus, a young scholar of Mythos. A Shield Warden Dracona comes in a pinup model. We have several versions of Eye Stalkers, Maw Stalkers, and a Mimic, a Mythos Temple Column. Archvillain Games does fantasy and sci-fi. We're looking at the sci-fi release Tome of Demons Volume 4. Here we have Yimmerson, Spore Hydra, and Spurtzog Fungal Dragon. We have a Spore Seer and Gorm Firetusk, Mana Seed, and Tylos Dirtmane. They have Spore Revenants, models 1, 2, 3, and 4. Spore Bloom. Then we have a Spore Cardinal, very interesting accessories to that model there. Here we have a Spore Deacon. So it does seem to be like a religion based around these myconoids, myconids. Well, these demons is what they are. Here we have Zygamore. Comes in 4 different sculpts, which is pretty typical for the fantasy release from Archvillain Games. Avatars of War is doing Beast Centaurs, multi-part regiment. So a couple of looks of those. These do come in multi-parts or modular, whichever term you prefer, and there's a preview of the different options that you have available to you. BattleYak Miniatures tends to do more modern style stuff, but they do have a tier that goes all the way back to ancient warfare, so we'll include that here. Roman Republic, Equites, Velites or Waylites, and the Command Group. BattleYak Miniatures is doing Mordragar Battle Ghouls this month. Here we have the Mordred War Ghouls, the Dreadgrave Chosen, and again, these are customizable, usually modular, come with different options, lots of weapon options and shield options, various heads, if you want them to have a face, if you want them to be covered. These are Mad Stitch Abominuggets. That's a cute name. Necroxen Warbeasts, and the Battle Ghoul Necroxen Riders. And then we have the Mad Stitch Suturus, and she does come in a more pin-up version as well. And lots of bases, which seem to be stitched flesh. Sutured ghoul skin is the theme. The Beholder Miniatures, One Sin for 7 Kingdoms. We're continuing to flesh out these armies with dwarves. Beautiful, lovely, long-bearded dwarves. May their beards drag the ground and never be cut short. We also have these fellas as well, these miners, with very nice hats, I must say, as well as a cannon crew. For the Infernal Realms, I believe is what they refer to these as, we have some trolls, a catapult, Bestiarum Miniatures this month is doing the circus. Now, this was the preview art they gave us, but we now have some renders of these miniatures. Let's take a look. Here we have the Tower of Madness, and there's the Traveler, the Endless, and the Amalgam. You can see a miniature in the back there for scale references. Here we have the Dark Denizens. We have the Ringmaster, of course. The Jester. Some puppets. Mummerhounds. There are more detailed images on their website if you wish to go look at those. For the sake of brevity, I did not include every single render. I think we could see them pretty well here. Here we have the Witch Hunter, Interrogator, Bastion, and Zweihander. And that's the release from Bestiarium. Big Bad Evil Guy is doing the Cursed Lovers for February. And apologies again for the renders here. Bite the Bullet Studios is doing the Horror Circus this month, so not a bad match really for Bestiarum. And here's our throwback to kind of fit with that theme a little bit. Here we have the Gorillan Ringmaster and a Spider Trainer Contortionist. Now notice the Spider Trainer Contortionist, another viewpoint of her, but she does come with a slightly different face. Here we have the Spider Puppet. It comes in a couple of versions, either a baby version or a moon version. I guess it kind of reminds me of a hermit crab with the different shell options there, if you would. Here we have the Junk Hog Clown and the Mutation Clown. We have a Harlequin Monster and a Jinn Diviner. Here we have the Mutation Jester and Ringmaster. Here we have a couple of versions like this, but notice they also come with a mask on their face as well. So those are the Dwarf Fire Jugglers and the Halfling Dagger Throwers. I just wanted to show that they do have a different face mask option. Here we have a Gnome Tamer, and our exotic is Luis, the Madame Whip, with an alternative version. Blue Giant Studios has this month Ragna Brimwald for their February release. Cast and Play is doing the Pirate Chronicles the month of February. And here is our throwback pack, which is multiple figures from various packs in the past that kind of fit the theme of pirates and help flesh out this release even more. First up for $9.29, we have Pirate Captain. We have Pirate Sailor, men, and pirate sailors that are women. We're equal opportunities here at Cast and Play. Ruthless Pirates, Pirate Cook and Swabbers, Pirate Goblins, probably fresh out of Booty Bay, Pirate Navigators, and Cannoneers. These are your heavy-duty weapon guys. We have some mermaids. Now, are they on the side of the pirates or against the pirates? I'm not sure. And, of course, a few characterful bases that fit the theme. Thematic bases, I should probably say. Claudio Casini Art was recommended to us by Alric66. Here we have Multi-Race Bard, some post-apocalyptic sci-fi warriors, so I'll throw these over in the sci-fi video. We have a Dog Folk Wizard. We have a Nightmare. A Forged Ranger. This is one that kind of borders on, is it sci-fi, is it fantasy, but Forged is usually more fantasy. Here we have a Orc Monk, and that rounds out Claudio Casini Art. Clay Beast Creations is doing the Bone Riders this month, so there's everything. It's kind of a zoomed out picture. Let's look at a little more detail here. This is the Blight Champion. It's a multi-part model. These are Gorgoyles. Notice they come with dual weapons or with axes. This is Marrow Knights. They come with shield, and they also come with lances. So we'll take a look at that too. And then for the throwback file, we have a Spectral Plague Overlord. Claymore Miniatures is doing Rangers of the Savage Frontiers this month. Here we have Asherin the Frontierman and Warchief Bloodpaw. We have a Draven Briarhollow, which is a Tiefling Druid, and a Warden Centaur. It's a different head. It fits, though, doesn't it? Here we have a Boulet, is how I've always heard the bullet was meant to be pronounced, and a Great Horned Ape. We have a Navavar Lizard Rider, and the Navavar as just a scout, no mount. We have a Navavar Tribe Champion, and a Navavar Primal Sorcerer. Navavar Razor Claw, and a Cameleo Drake Offspring. Giant Winged Scorpion, and a Spirit of the Savage Frontier. All released from Claymore Miniatures. Now, Codex Universalis, I don't have anything to show here, and I just wanted to mention what their post is online. I've had them in my back catalog for a while, trying to watch every month if they got something released that I can add to my videos, and they haven't really updated much things, honestly, since September, but they finally posted something, and I'll try to keep it short here, but they are saying that February is the last month that you'll be charged for a tribe by us, and that they are working through some difficulties coping with everything that's happened in their personal life. And in the time that the tribe will not be live, I'll be dedicating myself to finishing all the models I have pending and more. I will not reopen the tribe until I've delivered everything down to the last base. So sometimes creators do run into some difficulties, but at least Codex is being transparent with their patrons. So this way, during the next few weeks, on my first sets, and they did say that a new miniature studio will open its store on My Mini Factory and begin working with part of their catalog. They'll release their own content, and some of my models will move to their store. This way, during the next few weeks, some of my first sets will no longer be available for purchase in the Codex store. If you're missing something from a collection, now's the time, and if you own anything already, you will still have access to it. So we'll be watching Codex Universalis in a off-manner way, but I just wanted to point out that this is a tribe that seems to be kind of going away, but it does seem to be transitioning into something else, just for your information if you have any interest there. Comet Lord Miniatures is doing about 3 releases a month, usually multiple sculpts of each. Now, over in the bottom right corner there is Eve, and I'm going to put her more in the sci-fi video because she looks like an android to me, cyborg, what have you. So we're just going to look at the other 2, which is the Perceiver, which really fits in well with Artisan Guild this month. Highly detailed model. And then we have the Heart of Valens. And this is a very detailed, it looks like a heart. Fitting for February, isn't it, now that I think about that. Crippled God Foundry. Now, I'll mention them in the sci-fi video, but they are getting rid of, for now, their sci-fi tier. But they are maintaining their fantasy tier, and they're actually opening another Patreon or tribe as well. For the month of February, we have the Imposter Mage. So we have Albus the Master Mage and Alistor the Artificer Wizard. We have Maggie, Master Sorceress, and a Phoenix Familiar. Probably for Albus. And they did have a picture of Maggie painted up, and I wanted to include that because I enjoy seeing these types of things, and I thought you might too. Here we have Harry, the Apprentice Wizard, and Hermione, the Apprentice Sorceress. I do like the looks that he did for Crookshanks here. He looks well done. And here we have a rat named... we have a rat and his wizard. Yeah, that's the way I'm supposed to say that. That's Ron. And here we have Serpentine the Mage. Here we have Serpentin's Doppelganger. And some homunculi. No house elves here, just homunculi. Here we have some Wizard Academy guards and a Guardian Golem. and a serpent basilisk. And there's lots of furniture in this one here. Things that are obviously for a wizardry academy, like a wizard's desk. They are starting a new Patreon/tribe, low-level encounter, and apologies if that sounded awkward. There was a siren in the background, and I paused my video here, and I also have a neighbor running an air blower, so this is fun. But this is their free monthly miniature bundle for low-level adventurers, and the low-level encounter we'll be looking at this month as well as a new tribe by Crippled God. So anyway, just wanted to try to make my video a little bit more clean. Custom Miniature Maker is releasing lots of texture rollers, as is typical for them. So you take a piece of clay and you roll this and get the design that you want out of it. They also have these trees, and I'm a sucker for these types of trees. I think these look very nice. As well as some jungle ruins as well. But they have about no less than around 6 or 7 texture rollers, and let's take a look at what exactly these designs look at, because it's one thing to look at the roller, it's another thing to see what it actually imprints. So notice the small one, you can go back and add like a little path, or I guess even maybe a riverbed of sorts to it. And they did include this image I thought was useful to show what you can do with these. So you can print off these basically like cookie cutters, or I guess these would be base cutters here, and then you can have bases out of that little portion of the base that you want, and have bases that look alike but no two are exactly the same. They've also released a pretty unique looking dice case this month as well. Notice that it has spaces for magnets to hold everything in place, and of course, again, you can store dice or some pencils or something inside of the case as well. And this is how it would look when you print it out. Here we have Dark Realms. Dark Realms is doing Castle Argent this month. They're just finishing the first part of this model, and they should have it uploaded early next week when I saw this post. Daybreak Miniatures this month is doing the Walkers of Pharaoh Forest. Pharaoh, of course, is from the Latin meaning iron, so these would be ironwood maybe? Reminds me a little bit of Majora's Mask. And of course we have a couple of busts. I noticing the rhinoceros actually has a blade attached to his horn. Have to like that. Den of Imagination has this ratfolk artillerist. He could arguably be sci-fi, but I think we're going more for like a steampunk version here, based off that tank. Den of Imagination has Caligula, the Avatar of Vice, Champion of Luxor, Decimators of Excess, and a Sorcerer. So the main thing I put here was because of the Sorcerer. It's kind of like a fantasy release. The other things are possibly usable in fantasy, but the Decimators of Excess are definitely sci-fi. Dino and Dog has quite a few releases here. The Mape Macrothorax that we've already looked at here, and I'm not going to try to name everything because a lot of these are dinosaurs that I'm just not familiar with. On the right, we can see the preview of the Dungeons and Dinos tier. So there's the Mape Macrothorax, complete with a little dinosaur sauropod underneath. And again, we saw this diorama in the preview video, but I really like the details here. This is very well done. We have a bust. And for the Dungeons and Dinos tier, we have Shasuza, the hyena-like demon, and Smilodon, as well as another Myop Macrothorax. DM Stash, seeing them advertise out more and more, are doing the Cogs of Revolution this month. So we have several different characters here. Miniatures, we'll look at these in more detail in just a minute, and a modular sewer terrain set. They're not the first to do those, and they won't be the last, but if you have any interest in creating your own sewers, you can print these off and put these together in lots of different ways. And of course, with DM Stash, you basically get a campaign. Print out your miniatures and have fun. Playing with characters such as Aureliel of Alvair, an unhinged explosives enthusiast, or Senatus, the Old One. We have High Inquisitor Lorthran, a veteran mage hunter, and Venatorus, a clockwork golem. Kind of getting Full Metal Alchemist vibes here. We have Tyria Ravensong, a dark sorceress, and Umbra of Nautrus, the shadow rogue. We have Jackie Sparks, the eccentric electric, and Brains, the manic goblin inventor. There's a lot of details here, like you can almost tell what his personality would be like. And of course, Brains can come with Muscles. So here's Muscles, the Chemtech experimentation. So they can come together as one model or as separate models. Derek Matthews, the Jawbreaker, and some minor Venators, which are clockwork simulacrums. We have Darian Yeager, an artificer gunslinger, and Thomas Lumens, an unbridled inventor. He has invented quite the object there. Ariel of Arvair comes with a bust version. Here's Brandon Broadoak, Baldurian Enforcer. The Dragon Trappers Lodge has 3 different tiers. At their most basic tier, you can get the collectible Angelic Snorf this month. With at the Trapper tier, you have Rage of the Elementals. Here we have an Elemental Maelstrom, Elvon, the Conductor of the Tides, and Esper, the Whispering Wind. Ulvik, the Ember Smith, and Sandra, the Rock Speaker. We have Earth Elementals and Air Elementals. We have Fire Elementals and then Lava Elementals. We have Mud Elementals and Water Elementals. Ice Elementals, and then several different versions of Mephits. We have a Primal and a Varelephant. For the Soldier tier, there's Heralds of the Apocalypse, Part 1. So here we see Archangel Nixiel, the Silent Witness, Archangel Therial, the Eternal Judgment, Archangel Malvaroth, the Burning Herald, Archangel Seraphael, Heretical Zealot, Cherub Archers, World Cleansers, Woes of the World, or Cleansing Fire. Very similar models, but slight differences in the details, especially in the liquid. Fallen Cherub Command Group, these are spear variants and sword variants. Again, Fallen Cherubs, these are sword variants, there's a typo in their graphic, and spear variants. And then we have a Corrupted Virtue, but this is a loyalty release, so you have to stick around with Dragon Trapper's Lodge for a while to get this one. Dragon's Lake Miniatures is doing the Empire this month, Empire of Sunstal. So here are the heavy infantry. These come with a couple of different weapon options, as we can see. We have their command group. We have Knights of the Sun Griffin. Again, different weapon options. Here's the command group for those. We have some artillery in the form of an Imperial Rocketeer and a Marshal. We have the Marshal on horse, if you prefer to have him that way, or on Griffin. The Dragon's Rest is a relatively new tribe. I'm still getting the feel of them, and this is apparently the release for February. I could be wrong here, but Dragon's Rest is still working on getting these out. This is a modular release of Hedges. Duncan Shadow we have looked at mostly in the preview video already. Duncan does a good job of previewing most everything, so we have these rocks as well as some trolls. This is a Hive Hag and a Plague Hag. Rage Demons. And I think that's most everything from Duncan Shadow. Dungeon Classics this month is, I guess because it's February, a lot of people are going with the theme of red. So we have a young red dragon. Also comes as a wormling form as well. And here we have Nalfshini. I know I messed that up. I'm not familiar with this, but I'm assuming it's some sort of demon lord. Here we have some were-rats. The artwork for this was very impressive. Notice these are both a human form or their hybrid form. We have some giant rats to go along with our were-rats, and an invisible stalker. Because, you know, we need to be able to kind of see the invisible stalker. Here we have a skeleton horse. I imagine it's a difficult model to print because of how thin it is. And here we have an ox and a cow. Because again, not everything on the map has to be a monster. Dungeon Dog this month. We have Solomyth in a couple of different versions. Alright, batting down. Epic Miniatures, update number 1, the Adventurer Guild. Here we have a Noble Eye Tyrant on the left with a Mind Eater Gentleman on the right. And 2 more versions of him. Now, as I was putting all of this together, I realized that here's a Cat Burglar Rogue, that most of these models, well, I always knew, most of these models come in 3 versions. And this one just actually kind of fit together well like that. I was trying to put them all on one slide, and I realized I don't need to put them all on one slide. So I'm going to put 2 per slide in order to help utilize your ability to see these models better. This is a Dark Unicorn. So 1 model, 2 model, 3rd model, and sitting model. Notice that this model comes with wings or without wings. A couple of versions of these. Here we have the High Sorceress and the Dragonborn Noble. So yeah, I'm kind of cramming these pictures on here, and I don't want to do that, so we're going to go to 2. This is a Bard Adventurer female. And some instrument mimics. So here we have a lute, we have a trumpet, and we have a piano. This is a Vagabond Bard. And we have a Scholar Wizard. He would fit well with the release from Crippled God this month. We have a Peacock. And then we have the Royal Family. Now these come in a couple of different versions, and you can use them however you wish. Again, all of these are Royal Family. Here we have the legendary Teddy Knight. It is fluffy, it is deadly, it is the legendary Teddy Knight. Here we have a Tiefling Noble, very fond of contracts. And we have a Moonstone Dragon. And that finishes up update number 1 from Epic Miniatures. Update number 2 is Bloody Night. I wonder what the theme here will be. Here we have a Miasma Dragon, infected with the Undead Plague. This is a Vampire King. Now, he comes in both a winged version and a non-winged version of each of his 3 sculpts. So is it 3 sculpts or 6 sculpts? They seem to be counting it as 3. Here we have a Bone Abomination, experiment of a wicked necromancer. And then we have some zombie villagers. Even the children. And the women, too. We also have some dwarven zombie villagers. The missing eye on the woman is a nice touch. We have an orc. I wonder if that's his hand or someone else's. A tiefling zombie. Or equal opportunity zombies. And it's a zombie on the left there. On the right, we have a Necro Knight. Death Knight specializes more in necromancy. This is a Katakan vampire. Higher vampire with many bat-like traits. On the right, we have a dwarf vampire. This is an elf vampire lady. This is a female forest elf that turned into a vampire. She might be less physically strong than your usual vampire, but she makes it up with her agility and magical abilities. They also want to point out that she does come with a couple of versions that have a whip variant. This is a werewolf warrior. Of course, this is more difficult than a normal werewolf because he's wearing armor. And this is the royal vampire lady. She might appear as an innocent, noble lady in public, but her true identity is absolutely evil. She is the alpha of the local vampire tribe. On the right, we have a ghoul spawn servant. Their job is to get rid of the bloody corpses, which would seem like a fitting job for a ghoul. This is a cat folk zombie. Says he's used up all his 9 lives. On the right, we have a skeleton heavy gladiator. Comes in variations with a helmet and without a helmet. This is a death serpent, summoned with the darkest of death magic, immortal. Only way to get rid of it is to eliminate the summoner. And that finishes the releases from Epic Miniatures for the month of February. Flesh of Gods is doing Obsidian Cathedral this month. For their huge and gargantuan releases, we have the Infernal Sanctifier and Cinder Scale Obsidian Dragon. We have 10 medium enemies, some giant flame skulls, a cinder abashi, cinder gargoyles, both in a fire and stone variety, bone claw, smoldering revenant, infernal choir, and flame priest. For the large enemies, you have a flame warden, an obsidian reaper, and a magma troll. Thought you had to get rid of trolls by fire. What do you do with a magma troll? For our heroes, we have Zari, the lava gladiator, Coven, the mad alchemist, Cadris, the dwarven paladin, Kalen, the dark gunslinger, and Aaron, the ember strider. For the busts, we have Cadris, the dwarven paladin, and a flame priest. For the throwback, we have Mathinus, the gargoyle king, Salamander, and Kazil, the witchblood warrior. Fleshcraft Studios is kind of continuing the theme of last month, Part 2, The Sorrowful Lament, for the Shroudborn. And they had a couple images here of their Grim Vault, so depending on the backing tier that you have for them, you have access to different miniatures in their welcome pack or throwback pack. Here we see the Lady in Black and a Harrowing Whale Caster. Here we have the Sorrowbound Howler. Notice it comes with a couple different options here. We have the Wailing Widows and the Mist Maidens. Also, to give them a shout out, there is a Frontier coming. This will be March 10th, the Sanguine Heretics. So if you missed any of those miniatures or have any interest in these kind of blood-like critters, March 10th, Frontier. Nothing else, go sign up to get notified. Chances, I think you get a free miniature with it. Don't quote me on that, but that is a pretty typical thing for Frontiers to do. Gamescape 3D. Now, we've already looked at a couple of previews, so I wanted to put those images in here. So we looked at this building, and we looked at these trees and the rock walls and what all's going on here. So let's look at the release in more proper form. Looks really nice, does it not? They put out several images from several different angles. We're not going to look at all of the images they put out. There's the rock wall. Is that stringing from the 3D printer, or is it spider webs, from the spiders that have taken advantage of the rocks there? Whichever way. Just a very nice piece there. Ghamak has put out a preview of the fantasy release for February. So here seems to be pretty much everything we'll be getting in the month of February. Now, they like to kind of release throughout the month and show you a little bit more. This is the God King on Dragon. This is intended for the Undead Pharaoh's army. And we'll look more at these in the later overview videos when they give us better pictures of everything. Goonmaster Games is doing the Good Borzois, so these dog critters, Good Borzoi. And we have some ninja rats as well. For their throwback, we have the Battle Beavers and a Battle Scythe Taster model. I like the diorama of the beavers up in the top right corner of that image, about the middle of your screen. In addition, Goonmaster is very good at giving you lots of little basing bits. So here we have some snails, we have some fish, we have some practice targets for the ninja rats, as well as various bases with different designs, different sizes, different shapes. Great Grimoire is doing Harvest of the Undying this month, and unfortunately I don't have really any images to share beyond this, so we'll hang here for just a few extra seconds. A couple of busts, a couple of characters, a couple of minions. They are planning a Frontier. I'm not sure offhand when this is going to drop, but be sure to check it out if you have any interest in picking up Naira Whisperfang. Highlands Miniatures is continuing in the month of February with the Sewer Vermin. So this month you should be getting 7 Vermin Vanguard, 7 modular with optional command group, a sensor thrower, which is what we're looking at here, as well as some Rat Masters, Rat Swarm Rats, and Rat Gores. So here we have the Vermin Vanguard. These come with, I guess these are two-handed weapons. Here we can see parts of the command group with the musician. Just to show a little bit more detail of these. And then they've released these here to show, now we can see the Rat Gores and the Swarm of Rats. So here are giant rats that are being herded along. And then our rat swarms as well. Ichi Forge is doing the Mad Moon Clan this month. Here we have Jarbug the Shaman and Gitriz the Herder. We have Bone Chua and Gabo Gopa. Schnork the Loony and Brock the Fisher. Zicket the Sniper and Cap the Sniper. And one more sniper, Chibs. Again, for the sake of anyone that may have missed my preview video, they have already released that next month we'll be looking at the Tempest Truthbearers and kind of what their current plan is to go. They have gotten some complaints from a company saying your stuff looks a little bit too much like ours, and they are kind of revisiting what they're doing here. Imp 3 Desion is doing the Army of Sun for the month of February. So we have the, this was the teaser image that they gave us, but here's a little bit more better release, better view of these miniatures. They also have the Vigilantes here, which are ranged miniatures. And between these and the others, they all can have these interchangeable heads that can be put in to have whatever you want your minis to look like. There is also this dragon and this character as well. Her hat would go very well with Crippled God Foundry's release this month. And the last one I think for this video is going to be Kyoushuneko Miniatures, just to kind of show what they're intending for this month, because they do release through the month. They're doing the Chinese Cathay, Shadow Jade Warriors, as well as the Japanese Crab Clan. And so they've already have their first release out with the Chinese Cathay, and here we have the Master of Shadows Assassin, version A and version B. And then we have the Jade Warriors, and these have come equipped with sword and shield. And just another view. Now, I'm going to stop the video there because I'm getting pretty close to 50 minutes, which is pretty long, but honestly, a lot of the reason why I'm splitting this into two is because I don't have enough room in the description to put the links for everything that I like to put. And I also don't want you to have I want you to be able to watch what you want to watch and be able to look at those things. So that's why I'm splitting this into two videos. I'll be uploading the other video pretty quickly after I get this one up, and I look forward to seeing you there as we finish looking at the February overview of fantasy releases for the month of February 2025. See you there.